welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and this is another roster review. Now, this is for one of my patrons, Donkey Teeth. He is representing the Suit and Tie Pilots. Now, I'm really excited because he is their guild leader, and I've done a number of Suit and Tie Pilot character reviews or roster reviews, but he is the guy that runs it. Now, he was about 3 raids away from actually unlocking General Kenobi, and he decided he wanted to try to help out some of the lower level players with his knowledge base because he's been playing for about a year. So he started the Suit and Tie Pilots, and now he's building them up, and in about a month they're going to run a heroic AAT, it sounds like. So I'm pretty excited about the growth and development and his desire to develop other people with his knowledge base. Looking at all of his stats, they look great. He has spent in his lifetime of a year playing less than $100 on the game. So essentially he's free to play. I mean, in the last 6 months, I don't think any money's been spent. He said he made some initial investments, a $20 pack here and a $20 pack there, but less than $100 on the entire game. You'll notice the difference between his roster and, like, say, maybe Smithy D's, who I showed you, who initially started off, spending money on the game because of the development. So, of course, when you're doing these reviews, you got to make sure they're relative to how much an individual spend, and also my suggestions have to be based on whether an individual spends anymore. And I know Donkey Teeth is now completely and utterly free to play, has been for 6 months. He doesn't spend money anymore. So with that said, everything looks great as far as Galactic Battle ones, gear donated, the raids, the amount of raids versus the amount of guild currency looks great. His team, Donkey Teeth's team, you know what? It looks good. He's free to play and he's still in the top 100, so that's phenomenal. He's in the top 1% of his arena, which is excellent. And once you kind of commit as a free to play guy into a team, you're kind of stuck a little bit in them, but you got great characters fully developed, it looks like here, so it's not a bad team. I think the only thing this team kind of sort of lacks is just a tiny bit of synergy. There's some with the Rebels, but there could be more. And Rey, she hits really hard, and if you're going to do her Zeta ability, then I would continue to keep her on. If you're not, then I would pull her. My suggestion, after having looked at your inventory, a good crossover team for you. You're starting to develop a pretty decent Empire roster, and you're starting to develop your Biggs and your Wedge. If you could continue to get Biggs and Wedge up, you could literally put Wedge in the lead instead of Admiral Akbar, and Biggs instead of Rey. And then you would have the Biggs, Wedge, Lando, Stormtrooper Han combo, all Rebels, and then you'd have your Sun Fac to kind of keep you out of deep water with taunts and stuff. So that would be my suggestion on your arena squad, but I know that your Stormtrooper Han's mods, I know it's really hard to get mods, so I see your speed is, looks like you've got it up to around 173, so it's not horrible. And again, speed's really hard to get as a free-to-play person, so not bad at all. When you're dealing with health mods, just remember to look, especially for the green and blue ones that show any speed, then you can roll those up. But let's go ahead and roll right into the inventory and see where you're at. We're going to go ahead and go light side first, as we always do. And, initially you've got your Admiral Akbar high. That's not bad at all. You use his ship as far as your command, your capital ship. So that's excellent. You've got some Jedi and some Jawas. So that is good. I see you're developing those, and you could use both of those in the raids. Rey is leveled up, and, with her Zeta ability, she's pretty awesome. I see you've got Jedi Knight Anakin being worked up. I do see Rex way at the bottom, so I would definitely recommend getting Rex leveled up now that you're able to star him up. And Poe, if you're going to use his ship, I would definitely continue gearing him. But in this, bottom, let's say these bottom 3 rows, the only person that I really see that's kind of that, necessary evil that you really should is Aayla Secura. She's kind of on a semi-high node and difficult to farm, but she is Cantina, so you should be able to get her relatively quickly. She's a phenomenal Jedi, and she's excellent because with critical chance mods, and by the way, you'll be able to get those with, you got your Jawas. leveled up high enough to do that, you'll be able to use her to really help with the Empire meta. Ayla is phenomenal against that. So the one on the bottom I really see is Ayla. I do see you have a 7-star Han Solo that you haven't touched, and I know it's the gearing requirements for him. There's just too many other characters to gear. This is what I mean by free to play. You've got to prioritize what you're going to focus on. But as far as the rest, it looks great. I wouldn't put a whole bunch more energy in Princess Leia, but I would with Poe Dameron and Rex, especially because of their ships. And I would continue to develop, the top 3 rows for sure. Let's go ahead and look at your dark side. Now, I noticed that you have Sun Fac. That's excellent. And I noticed that you have some decent droids, Gear 10 droids. And that's not bad, again, for the Heroic AAT Tank Raid Phase 2. You'll be able to use those droids, so that's good. I noticed TIE Fighter Pilot and First Order TIE Pilot both are being worked, and both of those are excellent. The First Order hits a little harder, and with his new Zeta, he can actually get Foresight as well, and he's more durable than the TIE Fighter Pilot, but he is a hard farm, as you're finding out. You're at 6 stars, and I bet you've been farming him forever. But the TIE Fighter Pilot, definitely underneath an Emperor Palpatine lead, is phenomenal. And then I also see you're starting to develop Boba Fett, who's at 7 stars. And I can see now you're doing Darth Maul, so that's excellent. Keep going with him for his ship. And the rest of them at the bottom, those bottom couple of rows, just disregard. You don't need any of them right now. But you could, if you were able to develop a little bit higher, your TIE Fighter Pilot and your Darth Vader and stuff, maybe Darth Sidious or Count Dooku, you could turn it into an Empire Sith team and probably do pretty dang well in that with an Emperor Palpatine lead. So that's just something to think about. So let's go ahead and go. I know you're going, as far as clones, you're not going for them really. You have them all unlocked because everybody's trying to farm them up now, but 5s is really your highest. Your next is Rex, and that's really how it should be. Those 2 guys are really the 2 clones that you need if you're not going to do clones. And if eventually someday you do clones, there'll be 2 less that you have to, gear and farm up and stuff. Again, I told you your droids look good, and they do. The top 3 droids are going to be your HK, IG, and 86 and IG 88, and you've got them 7-star Gear 10, so excellent on you for working on them. Like I said about Empire, your Empire team looks not too bad. The bottom row, don't worry about. I really wouldn't spend much more time on Grand Moff Tarkin. I would focus on really those top 5 that you have if you're trying to do the Empire mods, using Royal Guard, Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader, TIE Fighter Pilot, and probably Magma Trooper to get your mods. And then the top 3 in this that you really probably want to focus on is Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader, and TIE Fighter Pilot. And then your Ewoks, I know, don't look so well, and that's because you use Teebo for Raid, Rancor Raid, and then that's about it. It's hard. You want to do them all. Everybody's going to tell you, hey, Ewok Elder's amazing. He is, but, it's one of those things where if you don't have Chirpa, when are you going to spend the time to farm him? It's just one more character you got to focus on, so it is tough. We do have an event coming up soon, which is First Order and Sith, so I do want to look at your First Order and Sith. So you have Captain Phasma and First Order TIE Pilot sort of leveled up, sort of geared up. You're kind of getting there with those 2 characters. It'll be some time before you have them up, so I would recommend really leaning more heavily on your Sith. So let's go down there really quick. And it looks like you're focused on Sith. You have 5 excellent Sith, probably the best 5 Sith in the game. And you've got them all at like Gear 8 or above, so that's excellent. I would definitely focus on getting them all 7-star, level 85, and then just try and get them up to, Gear 9, then Gear 10, because this is kind of the future a little bit, and Sith are fun to play. It's just nice to be able to use them, and we have that new event coming up. It's going to be against Jedi, and it's going to be 8 levels. It's an assault battle, so it's going to be tough, and so this is going to be what you'll have to lean into to try to pass through that. So let's go back and look, because I wanted to go back to Scoundrels. Side note on your Rebels, let's go back actually. Let's see, we did those. Your Jawas, I already know, look good enough. You probably should be able to do the 3-star their mod challenge, so that's as good as they probably need to be for now. And your Jedi look great. Like I said, the only Jedi I'd really focus on right now is Ayla and Jedi Knight Anakin. Those two are the ones that are under that you should really start focusing on getting up. Ayla is a phenomenal leader in the first phase of AAT, but you could use your Imagundai for that purpose, making a counter team. That would be pretty fun. And of course, I see you got Kit up there a little bit. Kit Fisto is pretty fun, but man, it's hard to do more than one character from each faction at a time. So I'd really focus on getting Jedi Knight Anakin up a little higher, and then you could probably run Ayla up pretty quick. Don't worry about Night Sisters. I know Rebel. Your Rebels look good. The top 5 are the top 5 I would suggest. Again, you've got a Gear 10 Wedge, but if you could get that Biggs up a little bit higher, I know the gearing of these two guys is horrific, but you only need one more to get Biggs at 9, and he's really pretty efficient, plus with the speed that they get from Wedge, those top 5 would really make an awesome arena team together. And your Rebels look great. I wouldn't worry about any of the other Rebels, except for at some point it would just be fun to do, to level up Han Solo for sure. As far as your Scoundrels go, you're unique in that you have the top 3 that are traditionally what everybody uses, 88, Lando, and Stormtrooper Han. I see you're starting to develop Boba Fett since the rework, so that is good. Keep focused on Boba Fett and keep working on him. And then I noticed that you actually have a really high-level Dengar. That's super fun. He's probably one of my favorite characters in the game as far as what he looks like, his actual moves in the game, because he does that whole chin check thing where he runs across and, hits his gun up on their chin. Pretty awesome. He's fun to play. At some point, if you ever get Han Solo up, you could use him in your Scoundrel team. But it looks like you probably have no problem getting your credits in your training bots. We already looked at Sith, and then Tusken are nothing to write home about. So let's go ahead and go into your ships. So looking at your top couple of rows and then the next couple of rows, the first thing I notice is you're using Admiral Ackbar. He's a well-balanced leader, so you're going to need some defense, like some tanks. You're going to need some support, and then you're going to need some offense. So in the first couple of rows, I noticed that you have Biggs and Wedge. I would definitely have them in your starting lineup because they have great synergy being Rebels with Admiral Ackbar's ship. So those are a great 2. One's a tank and one is an attacker. So that's excellent. I would also put in the top row that Sun Fac ship. I would put that as your first in your reserves. So that way when Biggs dies, because a lot of times he taunts right away and then the RNG is going to target him and kill him, sometimes so fast that you already have a ship coming in pretty quickly. So I would recommend Sun Fac being in there just in case Biggs dies. You'll be able to use him. Your Jedi Consular ship's pretty strong, so you definitely would want to probably put him in the backup, so that way you have that. And then you have the 2 TIE fighters. You've got the First Order TIE pilot and the TIE fighter, and then I also noticed that you have the Scimitar. I would put the Scimitar in your initial lineup. I would do Biggs, Wedge, one of the TIE fighters, and Darth Maul's ship, and then I would do Ahsoka on your main lineup, so that way she can dispel the other tank if needed. And then in backup, I would have Sun Fac first, then the other TIE fighter second, and then I would have Jedi Consular as your follow-up third ship. If you've got that third slot unlocked, it looks like you might have that third slot unlocked. So if not, but that's how I would do it. I would really balance your team out, having a couple of tanks, one in reserves, one out on the line, a couple of attackers on the line, have your support, which is, kind of like your Darth Maul's ship. That's an excellent ship because he's going to be able to stealth. Everybody's going to do more damage, and you can put his ability when he goes stealth on Sun Fac if he's in. And that will then instantly, he's just going to hit everybody and put target lock on everyone. Or you could put it on Biggs, and Biggs is going to just never die. He's going to constantly get more protection and more turns, and he's going to lay down constant attacks. And Biggs does decent amount of damage. So as far as ships go, you've got a decent amount. You've got 5 dark side, 5 light side, so you're good there. But I would definitely be using Darth Maul. I know because Darth Maul's ship's not very strong, it's hard to want to take it into ships because you're afraid, it's going to die. And there's a good chance that when you're not on offense, when you're on defense, that's the first ship they're targeting and taking out. But for offense, it should help you kind of grind in and defeat them pretty good. So hopefully this helps with your ships, and hopefully this helps with all of your other teams that you're looking for. Love how much development you've done. Really would focus on character-wise. I would focus on probably, like I said, Ayla and Boba Fett. And I would probably focus still on TIE Fighter Pilot because he's still pretty low there. But overall, it looks like you're doing real well. Going just overall on every character you ever had, I would say, in those top 3 rows, they're great characters you can continue to develop. And then looking down, looks like, for me, I would probably pause on Talia. I wouldn't do Talia anymore. I probably wouldn't raise Cad Bane up anymore. I'd probably leave them behind. I'd probably leave Ugnaught behind and not develop him anymore. And then I'd probably stop on Chewbacca, Magma Trooper. I would probably not worry too much about K2SO or your Ewoks that much right now. And then, these characters at the very bottom that you haven't spent much time or energy in, I wouldn't. I think the only one that's down there that, like I said, I think is a hidden gem if you were to get her leveled up is Aayla Secura. So anyway, I hope this roster review helps not just you, but everybody watching this, that it helps them really plan, prepare, and organize and know why certain ships are going to work a certain way and why certain characters should be utilized. As always, have yourselves a wonderful afternoon. Keep your gaming on. Warrior out.